$110,000 Bitcoin is still early. What I realized over the weekend when I was camping and surrounded by a bunch of people that didn't own Bitcoin is that we are still early, because the only people in that whole campsite, and there's probably at least 100 across the sections we were at, I was the only one that had the conviction for Bitcoin to buy it and hold. There was a few that had Bitcoin, and that's purely just because I've told them about it, convinced them, given them the resources, helped them get started, helped them grow their conviction. The rest had no interest, thought it was completely stupid. So it made me realize how early we actually are. It made me realize that we are in the top 1% of the world holding Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin for the long term. I had one of my friends, he heard me mention Bitcoin, straight away went into attacking mode, offended at the very idea, which makes no sense because Bitcoin is just a neutral asset, neutral currency. How can you be offended at bringing up Bitcoin? And his whole point was, well, I'm in the coding space. I make games for a living, blah, blah, blah. And so I know more than you, like you're an idiot. And his whole basis was that he could spin up another Bitcoin tomorrow and that could become worth more than Bitcoin. But the reality is he can't. And people have tried. There's millions and millions of cryptos now that have tried to do what Bitcoin did and have failed. There's a reason that Bitcoin is number one. It has been number one for 16 years straight and nothing comes close. Ethereum tried to be the next Bitcoin. XRP tried to be the next Bitcoin, and they all failed miserably. Ethereum at least was based on proof of work initially. Then as soon as it switched to proof of stake, which is less and less like Bitcoin, it has been failing ever since. It's really, really sucked. And so he actually can't spin up a Bitcoin tomorrow. And for those that do buy crypto, understand that is nothing like Bitcoin. It will never be anything like Bitcoin. Nothing else has a limited supply, a scarce supply. Nothing else has no founder, company, business, nothing. This is just the protocol. It's not just the currency, it's just the protocol. And yeah, so he was completely wrong about that, but I didn't even bother fighting, because anyone that's going to come out from that negative sort of point of view has nothing good to say. And I just think there's no point even bothering, because they're just clearly ignorant. And I had a few others. One had recently invested in the S&P 500. And when I mentioned, hey, if your investment's not beating the rate of inflation, which is at least 10% in Australia, then it's basically going down long term. You're still losing. You're still losing your value. You're still losing your purchasing power, because if you're not beating inflation, you are losing. And it wasn't me being mean, being offensive or anything. It was just me suggesting, hey, look for investments that do more than 10%. Look for something like Bitcoin that's going to outperform that. Even gold's going to outperform that at this point. And, instantly after that, he was like, oh, inflation. And on no, like, it was just a razz and just trying to annoy me. But it just made me realize, like, we are so early, man. Like, the global adoption is like 3% across the world. And everyone in this campsite, I was the only one with the conviction, the education, the understanding of Bitcoin at that level. And I've only been studying it for like 18 months or so. And so it was a kind of annoying to hear all these people with no arguments. And although they all agree, life is getting more expensive, inflation's killing us, we need to find investments. And then as soon as I suggested Bitcoin as an investment, it just turned negative, turned like I was the idiot in the room. Even though Bitcoin's all-time high, and even though it's outperformed everything for 16 years straight, they can't accept that fact. And so it really is an ego test. It's an ignorance test, and they all failed. And so it's just funny, because even one of my mates, he owns like $7,000 Bitcoin. And he was still having a go at me. And I'm like, you're in profit. Like, what are you even talking about? But yeah, it's just a good reminder. Like, we are so early, man. And you're still going to be considered an idiot for holding Bitcoin for another 10 years probably. And by then, Bitcoin will reach $1 million, and then we'll be considered lucky. So prepare for that as well. But yeah, just thought I would make that video just so that you don't feel alone out there. You're not crazy for holding Bitcoin. You're the smartest in the room. And yeah, it's going to continue being the best performing asset and currency in the world. It's going to beat anything that your friends argue about, unless they invested in fart coin early and they essentially did get lucky. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. If you can do me a favor, just sign up to Caleb and Brown Crypto Brokerage Exchange. I've got Sats Venture code there, so it benefits me if you sign up through me. That's the way you can show support, or scan the QR code, send me some Satoshis through a Bitcoin wallet. And yeah, Caleb and Brown have free withdrawals to cold storage and other exchanges or wallets. So a really cool feature when you sign up with Sats Venture. 24/7 service. It's a brokerage service, not just a crypto exchange. So it'll be very helpful. And yeah, so that's for Australians and the Americans out there. Sign up with those guys and get some benefits. Cheers, guys. Thanks.